Hey everyone, thank you for watching. In this video I'm going to show you how to draw the leaf from an oak tree. So grab your pencils and let's get drawing. The first thing that you want to do when you get started is draw the outline of the leaf. The most common oak tree leaf is actually from the white oak, a very common type of oak tree. But did you know there's actually over 600 different species of oak trees in the world? I did not know that. You want to start off by drawing the stem, and it's obviously going to be a bit thicker at the base and then thinner at the top. So try to just think of that. The other thing about the oak tree leaf is that it is very particular in the sense that it kind of has this shape. I don't know if I can describe it without drawing the branches on the leaf. So let me first draw these and then I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, so the actual outline of the oak tree leaf is actually something that kind of looks like this. So if you've ever seen a leaf like this from a tree, it is actually quite something that's quite unique. Most people can identify this leaf shape right away. I know I can. So we will fix this up as we need to, so bear with me over here. So maybe there's a stem over there, and maybe we'll just fix this branch over here. So that will kind of go over there, and maybe one more over here, something like that, okay? This is just a rough outline. I might want to fix it up as well. This one I purposely went large, but I might just bring it in just a bit. All right. So we're kind of playing around with the shape of this leaf over here, and it is really important to make sure that the outline of your leaf is quite clear. So I'd actually grab another pencil like a 5B or something lighter, smaller, and just make sure that your outline is pretty clear. Sometimes when you use something like a 7 or an 8, it does tend to be quite strong, so you want to get a nice outline around there as well. So that's what we're going to do over here, so follow along. Okay. The interesting thing that I found when drawing the oak tree leaf is that at the top you don't really have these indentations like this. You typically sometimes have this more of a nub-like top. So that's something else that I noticed as well. Very, very interesting to see that. So I'm just trying to represent that over here. So let's see if we can just clean this up just a little bit. Promise this will come together real nice at the end. So you always want to make the stem thicker at the base, and it does get lighter as you go away. Of course, most leaves typically have a stronger base and a lighter positioning away from there, okay? So we're continuing to work on the outer part of the leaf. It's not easy. Sometimes it really takes a lot of erasing to get it right. You don't really want it to look like this doesn't have to be a perfect circle by any means, so you sometimes want to draw and erase and make it look natural. So that's always a good idea too. Okay, there you So just like the main stem, you always want to be thicker towards the stem and thinner as you go away. So we're actually going to clean this one up here. So if this is our stem, we're going to go thicker over here, and we're just going to go lighter as we go away. Okay. Each nub on the leaf doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You can actually have a piece that goes like this, and then even like that. So there's nothing wrong with doing that as well. In that case, your main stem might protrude out towards the outer point, but you might also have a side stem that goes over here. In fact, you might have multiple side stems that protrude out. So we're gonna do that everywhere, just one step at a time. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but just wanted to kind of share with you where I'm going with this. Kind of have something like that, right? So the oak tree is really well known for having producing the acorn. So that's the actually most famous part of the oak tree. The other thing that I found interesting was that an oak tree actually produces about 10 million acorns during its entire lifetime. So I don't know how they do it, but I didn't think there was that many acorns that get produced, but apparently there is. So I don't know, 10 million acorns, that is certainly quite a lot. I don't know if you've ever been hit in the head with an acorn or certainly seen one fall, but they're quite something. They're really something, aren't they? So 10 million acorns in a lifetime. Wow. So one might wonder, in that case, how many years would an oak tree live? So oak trees actually live up to 1,000 years, which is quite astounding when you think about it, isn't it? 1,000 years, and I think we said 10 million acorns, so I don't know if you do the math on that, that's a lot of acorns per year, so quite something. You can see here, we're just continuing this pattern, right? I'm gonna add a little bit of shading to it. I'm just gonna continue this. And I'm always changing the shape of the outer part of the leaf too, because as I draw some of these stems, I'm kind of realizing that, you know, some of this might be a little bit off. So don't be afraid to make those changes as well. You really wanna make sure that you capture the real essence of that oak tree leaf. We'll probably draw an oak tree in a future video, maybe one coming up soon, but you can kind of see how this comes together, right? Again, just doing some cleaning up over here. Again, the oak tree is really, you know, distinct in the way that the leaf shape looks. So next time you're out, if you ever see a leaf, you might recognize it as an oak tree leaf. In fact, what we'll also do in future videos is I'll draw some of the other types of oak tree leaves that exist and maybe do a little collection of them. Certainly might take some time, but we'll draw them. We'll draw them all, one at a time, promise to you. It's just the first one. There are many different tutorial videos. So down here you can see this little nub, right? So this is again part of the leaf. You might want to draw a little small vein and then draw an external vein there, maybe here, and maybe one over here. And these are again going to be very small, small in nature. Okay. You can kind of see how this is coming together, right? If there's anything you ever you're not happy with, just grab your eraser and just kind of, you know, redraw it, if you will. So. And you want to go nice and light too, so some light pencil marks, whoops, that'll really make it show really well, right? So you can kind of see how this is really coming together. I think I had an accidental pencil stroke there, so I'm going to fix that. And just kind of reshade it, okay? So you could kind of see how this is coming together. We're going to keep going. We're going to make sure that this vein is nice, and actually right here we have one starting here, and again lighter as you go away from it, right? As you go away from the stem. So a bit thicker here and lighter as you go away. So you could kind of see, like, you don't have to necessarily create a base for the stem. There's nothing wrong with the stem being how do I explain this? If this was your stem over here, you do not have to have it going out like this with a curve and a curve. So you don't have to have a curve. Don't need to do that. There's actually nothing wrong with having your stem over here and just having a straight out vein. So you could kind of see over here it creates a bit of an angle, and over here it creates an angle. Again, you don't need to create this kind of curvy shape like that. So keep that in mind as well, and I'll make sure that we are following that rule as well. Most leaves from an oak tree don't typically follow that. Don't follow this, but do follow this. You can kind of see what I did there. Just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just make sure that it's thicker at the base and thinner as you go away. Kind of a general rule. In this case here, I might want to just fix the outer part of this leaf over here. Just go out just a bit more and then come back in. It's hard to pin down the exact kind of curvature or radius or whatever you want to call it. In my opinion, you really just kind of have to go with your gut in terms of what looks nice. I find that you have some curvature on the inner and on the outer. It's not really, over here, you're not really doing one of these. You're not doing one of these leaves where you have a hard angle. You're actually creating, so you're not doing that. You're actually creating more of a curvy piece on the inside, right? So this is actually what you want to do more of, okay? So let's keep going. I'm actually gonna just continue the process of drawing these veins. So we're actually gonna go over here. Okay, so keep following along. I'm gonna keep guiding you. Another really interesting fact about oak trees is that one of their most amazing uses is actually in wine, believe it or not. So wine is aged, and I think everyone knows when someone makes wine, you typically age wine for time. So wine is actually aged in oak barrels, and just a really interesting choice in terms of choosing an oak barrel, the oak tree to make the barrel, actually. So that's a very common, let's see if I can just clean that up a bit there. Common use for the oak tree. And the reason, if you're wondering, the oak adds a unique taste, kind of some aromas people say related to vanilla, coconut, smoke to the wine. Those are all things that would kind of come out of aging the wine in an oak barrel. So you might actually be a wine drinker yourself, or you might wonder about that. So if someone ever quizzes you, you can say, yeah, you know, wine's actually aged in oak barrels. So you can actually remember that. And I don't know if it helps you remember this or not, but out of all the different leaves out there and leaves of different trees, we kind of said that the oak leaf is actually one of the most originals, the way that the curvature works and all of that. So maybe you can think of that and maybe connect that to the wine. So maybe that's a neat little way to kind of remember that. Oak and wine, oak and wine. I don't know. I don't know how what tricks you use to remember certain things, but sometimes these silly little facts, if they are put together or presented in a certain way, it's much easier to remember. So for me, some little tidbits of information like that help me remember. So I know that I always remembered that because the oak leaf was so original in the way that it's structured, I kind of realized that it always makes me remember about the wine barrels. So maybe you can do the same as well. So again, I'm just drawing some more of these veins over here. So, and I'm going to just do a little bit of shading around there and just around here. Okay. A couple more over here. So it shouldn't surprise you that so many acorns are created out of an oak tree. I think we've seen them fall and all of that stuff, but did you actually know that only 1 in 10,000 acorns actually kind of grow up to become an oak tree? Only 1 in 10,000. I know not every acorn becomes an oak tree, but I thought more than that would become an oak tree, but I guess not. I guess that's not as common. I guess it takes some real soil and planting and watering and all of that for it to grow. A lot of times these acorns just kind of fall and they don't often materialize into a full-out tree. So 1 in 10,000 acorns become a tree. Really interesting to know that. I didn't know that. I just found that out today, so you might want to remember that as well. So I did all the veining over here, and I might want to just continue to just sharpen up some of the lines, make sure they're consistent, make sure some of the spacing on each side is actually representative on both. You don't want one side to look lopsided with darker shading. Darker shading and also darker lines. You typically want to make sure that your lines are somewhat uniform across the leaf, right? So what I might do is I might actually change to my H pencil and just kind of do some finer lines in here on top of the lines that are already there. What this will do, it'll just give you more clear definition. And the other thing is if you do look at a leaf close up, you will see very fine lines in some of the veining that exists on the leaf. So this is actually quite representative of a realistic leaf as well. So you might actually, especially if you notice, I mentioned that you should kind of think about doing some side little veins over here. You want to use somewhat of a thinner pencil to do that. So I would definitely recommend the H for that. So I'm going to actually continue doing this. You can just follow along. It won't take too much longer. So we did that. I'm going to actually shift back over to my 8B, And I'm actually just going to add in some nice shading in here as well. I think the real trick to the shading about the leaf is just to make sure that you get enough of it. You want to make sure that you're really representing some of the shading that exists in real life in nature. Definitely use your smudging technique to kind of, bring that all together, okay? You're going to try not to shade on the outside. We're going to maybe erase some of the outer lines that come up as a result of the smudging. But sometimes it's hard to avoid that. So I know that there's some other techniques we can use to avoid, but for me, it doesn't bother me. Just kind of clean it up later. No big deal. You could kind of see without the shading, this part here doesn't really look complete, but down here, this definitely looks a lot nicer. So we're going to really try to, get some of that shading right around the outer edge of the leaf. So slow and steady, we're just going to keep doing some shading here. We're really going to pull this all together. I'm also trying to give you some interesting facts about oak trees. One kind of sad fact about the oak tree is that the population of oak trees is actually decreasing in the world, believe it or not. You would think that there would be plenty of room for trees to grow and all of that, but unfortunately, they say that farmers in some countries are actually clearing out a lot of the oak trees to open up land for, and this would be for grazing of cattle. So that's one interesting thing too. Any cattle farms need a lot of space, so unfortunately, some of the tree population and the oak tree specifically is kind of declining. But the other thing, and I guess a lot of us like a good cup of coffee in the morning, a lot of trees are being cut down as well for the purpose of coffee plantations. So the need and the demand for coffee also creates the need for more space. And unfortunately, some trees get cut down. So I guess kind of somewhat unfortunate, but I think it's important to bring to your attention as well because, we want to hopefully make a change in the world. So the good thing is that there's actually a lot of organizations out there that you can, either donate to or support. And support doesn't have to just be monetary. You can actually share some interesting articles or information from organizations. There's a lot of charities and nonprofit organizations that support tree planting. So believe it or not, you can actually get involved and be part of the tree planting awareness, even just bringing awareness to that. So if you ever feel that, there's not much I can do, you can actually support different organizations with awareness or donations of planting trees. So think about that as well. I know for myself, I've actually donated to some tree planting organizations in the past, so I'm happy to continue to do that as well. So I'm going to finish off some of the shading by using the smudging technique, really just getting and letting some of those colors bleed in quite nicely, okay? Until I'm happy. I'm not going to rush this. I'm not going to try to, rush this for the sake of speeding this up. I really want to make sure that my shadows and shading really sits in there quite nicely. Really, really important to me, and I'm sure for you as well. just redraw the stem, just make sure that some of those lines are really showing out quite well. Okay. So what I'm going to do is actually grab the eraser, and I'm just going to kind of clean up some of the lines around the outside of the leaf. Now, if you're not really aware or not sure how to do this, just go lightly and just go in small kind of strokes back and forth or in a circular pattern and brush away your excess eraser bits as well. And the reason you do that is because you want to try not to get on the inner part of the leaf or the drawing of anything for that matter. You want to try to keep your drawing separate from the outer part, right? It creates a nice sense of making this leaf pop off the page. So if we can do that very, very carefully, very slowly, like I said, some circles or some light strokes, always kind of brush away your excess eraser. It's not going to go perfect, but you can try. So I'll just do this on the other side as well. Sometimes when you use the 8B, it definitely creates a lot of darkness. So it's not uncommon to have such darkness around the leaf as well. By the way, I hope you're enjoying the videos. One thing that we try to do on the channel is draw an item and give you some facts, some intriguing facts. So in this case, we're drawing the oak tree leaf, one of the many, many different types. But I'm also trying to educate you on the way. I'm trying to give you some facts, nice, light facts that you can easily remember, facts that are intriguing, and certainly nothing too heavy as well. So hopefully you're enjoying that. Let us know in the comments below. We always really enjoy getting that feedback from everyone, so thank you for that. Let's just finish this up, and we're pretty much done, by just kind of going back around that outline. Let's make sure that we're really happy with that outline that we kind of drew originally, and you remember how specific we were with that. So I'll just kind of draw this as well and just kind of complete it, and then we'll pretty much be done. So there we go there. Don't make it complicated, just literally draw it out and continue that line right around till you get to the base. Pretty much be done. There we go. Okay. That's pretty much it. That's it. There you go. How to draw the leaf of an oak tree. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.